Welcome to the Tiger Nexus Podcast, a place where you'll find interviews with content creators and geeks alike. Your host, Tiger, has delved upon the Nexus and found interesting content creators and geeks of all fandoms. This podcast is connected to the Zero Hero Network. And now we dive in with another episode!
Hello everybody and welcome to Tiger Nexus Podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Tiger, and today we have one of those guests that, I've got my list, he's on my list of, top guests I've always wanted to get on. This man, he's accumulated 880 plus thousand followers on TikTok, and he's all about helping people. He's all about trying to push people to become, better versions of themselves, and he does offer, paid help as well, which is fantastic. With today, Ben Cole Edwards. Hello, bro. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. What an intro. Thank you for having me. Before we start, can I swear?
Yes, mate. Crack the fuck on, bro. Absolutely. Yeah, no, crack on.
Thank you for having me.
Anyone who is a fan of my podcast knows that I don't care if people want to say the odd swear word and stuff. I understand. So obviously we're kind of how's the weather your side, because obviously we're both from Wales and I'm currently looking at the greyest sky ever and it looks like it's gonna chuck it down.
I had no idea you're in Wales. I don't need to give your location away. Do you tell people where you're from?
Originally where I'm from, but I don't tell people exactly my location.
Yeah.
I just say I live in South Wales.
Yeah, well, me too. What if we're really close?
That could be. We may, after the podcast recording, we may have to figure out exactly how close we are. But I'm looking at a really dark grey cloud right now, and
I have been for a long time.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Just thought I'd add because. Did you get snow the other day? Because it snowed here with me. Yeah, okay. Because it didn't last very long. The next day, it completely disappeared. It didn't look like it snowed, but we had snow the other night. So of course, you are you've got over 800,000 followers on TikTok. How does it feel knowing that? The type of message you're trying to spread, the type of help you're trying to give people has accumulated that much of a following. Does that ever blow your mind?
It's strange because, and TikTok's my main platform. It's where I started first. And if people bump into me in public, it's a strange thing because they'll say, "Oh, I love your videos." And I'm like, yeah, I'm really grateful for it. Thank you. But what they're saying is, I had a bad childhood too, and you're pointing it out. So it's great. It's changed my life. This is what I do for a living now for the last 3 years. But it's also sad that I think in total I have 1.4 million, I think. But it's sad that amount of people went through the same things that everyone else did. Well, not everyone else did, but had shit childhoods too.
I think as well, it's also I don't know about I can't speak for everybody, but for me personally, I think as well, it's almost nice to know that you're not alone. If that makes sense in that sort of scenario, because especially men and certain women who may have had what's the word, bad relationships and stuff, but we don't talk about childhoods. We grow up not to talk about childhoods, and growing up, therapy was always alien. In my household, if therapy was ever brought up in my family, you were kind of glared upon and stuff like that. And oddly enough, my therapist even said today that in the last 20 years that she's been doing this, it's only been the last 3 or 4 years where therapy is actually normal for people. It's not alienated or shunned upon. And so I feel when you're doing these skits that you do, between the two different versions of yourself, and you've got the one that's oh no, I should love my parents, and then the other one's yeah, but why again? I feel everyone that's oh my god, I need to follow Ben. I feel it's almost it's nice to know that we're not alone in the crappy childhoods we have, and it's okay to talk about it. And just you doing those sort of videos, I feel it's almost you kind of highlighting an issue that we kind of push in the back of our heads, and we just keep it in a box. And you're almost pointing a light at that box and going, "Hey, you can open that. By the way, it's perfectly fine," and it's almost freeing to us. So yeah, I think it's nice to know that we're not alone, and it's okay to have to admit that you have a crap childhood, and I feel like that's kind of the thing that you push as well. Is like it's okay to admit that your parents are a bit wank, your childhood was a bit shit, and it's okay to go, I want to be a better parent than my parents were, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so when
I'll go on. Sorry.
no, I was just gonna ask when it comes to being a parent and then doing the whole parenting thing. Have you had many parents like? You said like people come up to you and like say, have you had any parents like kind of say to you that you've kind of changed my thoughts about parenting and things?
Yeah, a lot of my clients are parents, and what I find, and I would say 9.9 times out of 10, people come to me and they say, "Ben, I had a bad childhood, and I'm trying to do better for my kids." And I ask them for examples of how they're failing as a parent, or at least how they think they're failing, and they never give me good examples. Some people will say, "Well, I snap at my kids sometimes." And then I'm like, "What do you do after that?" And they're like, "Well, I apologize and I take accountability and I make it up to them." What ends up happening, right, is when we have shit parents, we hold on to the good stuff they did and try our best to forget about the bad, to feel like we had better parents and a safer, more loving childhood. Then we, like you said earlier, we have kids, we become parents, we try our best to parent in the opposite way to how we were parented. But what we end up doing as a result is holding on to the bad stuff we do and forgetting about the good. So you'll do 100 good things as a parent today, and then in the night you get overstimulated, you shout or you lose your temper, and it'll keep you up at night because you think you're just like your parents.
Yeah, no, that's I've literally done that myself.
We
Like,
hold on to the bad stuff.
Yep, that's very true. I personally, when it comes to me being a dad, my relationship with my dad is good. He wasn't around when I was a kid, but I've learned a lot about my dad and as an adult. The last like call it 10 years, I've learned about a lot about my dad's childhood and his relationship with my mum. And now that I know more, I've got more information to go with. I understand my dad a lot more, and so like whatever anger I had towards my dad about leaving, I don't have anymore because I get it. And now when it comes to like me being a dad, it's I always think of it as I always treat my son Logan as a person, not as a kid. So like like today, I don't ask him to do anything, but I don't demand. I'll kind of just give him like boy, can you do this? Just do this for me, sort of thing. And like I'm always nice about it, and I'm always chill with it. And he don't honestly. I'm not boasting or anything, but this kid doesn't have a tantrum, Miles. Like the most I get is he might go, but I'm tired, sort of thing. Like he may moan, but that's the most I get out of him. He don't cry in my house or anything. He's a happy kid a lot of the time, and stuff like that. And it's just like I explained to Logan today because he was asking me about what therapy was and stuff, and I said to Logan today, I was like, just because you have, because he knows that like I don't talk to my mum and like he don't talk to his grandmother anymore and things. So I was like, just because Granny wasn't good with me doesn't mean I have to be bad with you, does it? And he's like, no, it's very true. So like, I always find that it's good to hold on to the good, but yeah, you're right. Sometimes it is a case of a lot of people tend to forget about the bad when really they should be highlighting the bad and going, well, I don't do this, and I would love to see, and I have actually seen because I watched your vlog on YouTube when was it Disneyland Paris you went to?
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah, I saw that, and like, is it a case for you when you have to be dad mode and you're a dad? Do you still have moments where you do the same thing where you kind of think like, oh, am I being to this or to that, or because what is that never a thing anymore?
Oh no, it's I don't think it's something that it happens gradually less, but it's still there. It's still a part in our lives. And maybe 15 minutes before this call, so we homeschool. So I was teaching my daughter. Do you remember the Biff, Kip, and Chip books? We was going through
Yes.
one of those.
Yep.
We just started those, and she's in a phase where she'll like She can say the sounds of the letters. She knows all the letters, and she's over the last like 2 weeks she started putting them together. So she loves it. And we just started, and she was looking at a word that she knows very well. It was just am. She was looking at it, and she writes it, and she can say it, and she just wouldn't. And I was like, "What's this word?" She's like, "Oh, I don't know, and I don't know." And I was like, "You know it," and I raised my voice. I was like, "You know the word. We do it all the time." And it was me getting frustrated. My other son was trying to watch. He wanted to watch the TV, but the TV wasn't on. And I didn't shout, but I slightly raised my voice. I was like, "You know this. Why are you making it difficult?" I said, "This is easy for you." And then after we finished the book, I stopped and I sat her on my lap and I was like, "I'm really sorry for shouting. I don't like shouting." And then I told her how proud I was and how proud she should be of herself and how much progress she is making. And then in a couple of months, she'd be reading books on her own. So rather than, if I was a child, well, that situation itself never would have happened if I was a child, to have a book read to me. But I think we often beat ourselves up and we hold on to the bad stuff to continue to beat ourselves up because it's comfortable to feel like shit if you always have.
See that are like that. What you just said, we get comfortable with it. That is a very good way of explaining it because when so me and Logan's mum aren't together. We broke up a couple of years ago, and the partner I'm with now, Logan and her get on like a house on fire. They get along really well. Some days he'd rather hang out with her than me, right? So like they get along really well. And when we first moved into this house, which was 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, and she started being more of a parental role with Logan. She, I had to speak to her and go, look, don't like be like this with him. You might want to rethink this and everything. He would beat herself up. I was like, no. It's she doesn't have a really good relationship with her dad, and as soon as she put those pieces together that she's copying her dad, that's when she had that realization. And then since then she changed the way that she's with Logan, but she started beating herself up. She instantly went to beating herself up about it. I was like, why are you beating yourself up for? You've never had a kid. You've never, you're willing to be a stepmom, which is great. You may work with kids, but they're not yours, and things. So like, chill out, it's fine. And so yeah, like it is a natural thing to pardon me, it is a natural thing to like just instantly go to, negativity. But I think that's just, especially in the world we're in now, I feel that's very, natural, isn't it? Just negativity. And even though like, what's the saying? It takes more muscles in your face to frown than it does to smile. But like, when mentality wise, we're just naturally negative, which that doesn't help.
I saw a quote recently that said, "If you're born in a burning house, you think the rest of the world is on fire." So it's not natural to grow up in chaos and then just expect yourself to think, "Oh yeah, I deserve peace," because chaos is all you know. So if you do have peace in your life, more often than not, you will look for chaos. If you can't find it, you will create it because it's comfortable to feel like shit if you always have. Again.
I love that. Oh, that's a good quote. That's really cool. So what got you into making, what into TikTok videos? What was like the spark that made you want to put this online?
I didn't mean to. It's a strange story. I thought my childhood was relatively normal. I would have said that my mother felt like a distant older sibling that never had a shit together. So all the way I described her. My father left when I was 2. I'd see him once a year. He was alcoholic. I'd see him once a year, and it wasn't positive. And then as an adult, we did have a better relationship. It wasn't perfect. And then he passed away in 2020, and he passed away 5 months before my grandfather. And I found my grandfather dead. And it was a really traumatic year. My grandfather died. We got pregnant with our first child, and then my father died. And I was in a dark place. So I thought I'm going to have to do some reading or something to change my mindset. And I wouldn't say it was a spiritual awakening, or maybe a gradual one. And then I was able to read between the lines. So when people, and by people I mean my mother, when she would say a bullying comment or say something that wasn't very nice, rather than take it to heart, I could see that she was just a nasty person. And when I started making content, I think it was the end of 23, I can't remember. I started making content about parenting. Because we got 4 kids now, but we had 2 at the time. We were trying for a third, and I wanted to share any parent advice, give my own or any that I saw online. And when my first video, I thought it was about parenting, but it was about narcissistic parents. I didn't even realize. I said that our parents don't really like the fact that we are better parents because we have access to more information. And whatever along that goes along the lines of that. I can't remember exactly what it was. And then I would start talking about parenting, and then I'd say things without even meaning to. Again, thinking my childhood was rather normal, or at least not traumatic. I would say things like, "This is what I do with my kids because when I was a child, this happened." People would be like, "Oh fuck, I went through that too." Or I'd say about emotionally immature parents, and I'd say my mother used to say on her way to work, and I'd be like looking after my younger sister on my own when I was like 12. She'd say, "Do you know how easy it would be, Ben, for me to throw myself in front of a car on the way to work?" And I would just say that normally. Maybe I was 15. I'd say that normally in a video, and people were like, "Oh fuck, I went through that too." And the more I talked about it, the more I learned about myself. Every video I did, I had to dive deeper into my own childhood, and here I am 3 years later.
So that's awesome. I love that. Your
Mm.
TikTok experience basically also helped yourself in a sense.
Mm.
Like it was almost
So that,
therapeutic.
yeah.
That's awesome. I like that. So you obviously you offer a lot of different things where people can actually talk to you and get help and stuff. What sort of things can like people kind of expect if they kind of went down that route?
I'm very direct. So I do a 40-minute session, 90 minutes, and then like a 4 weeks with me, which is like one a week for 4 weeks, obviously. But I'm very direct. So some people will book a 40-minute session and they speak for 5 minutes. They just like bullet point their entire life, all their trauma. And then I'll connect the dots. And I think I've had about 3,000 clients now. And I'll give my notes back to them. And 9 out of 10 people will cry. But I like to tell people why they do what they do, why other people in their life do what they do. And then maybe it is an emotional release. And then tips, techniques, and then tools to heal and sort of move on and live your life instead of living as an extension of your parents.
Yeah, no, that your TikTok videos alone, before we started recording, I said to you that like watching your content is one of the things that kind of sparked me thinking like maybe I need to start talking to someone, sort of thing, and why I've started doing therapy, and because I had the same sort of like realization. I started putting the puzzle together, and I was looking at. My mum was the only parent I already had growing up, and I was starting to look at what she did and how she acted, and like so I'm one of three on my mum's side. I'm the middle kid, and she's got two boys, and the youngest one's a girl, and she's very like her daughter's her little angel type thing,
Mm-hmm.
and she does parent a lot differently with her than she did with me and my brother. I don't think she's ever been grounded. I don't think she's ever taken like her consoles away or her toys away or anything like that, when she used to do that to us all the time. My therapist got freaked out earlier because I explained to her that I would there was a time where my mum removed every single item out of my bedroom, and I'd only have my mattress, that's it. And I'd have to do chores in my house to earn everything back. But when I
Mm-hmm.
say everything back, I mean it'd be like, let's say I earned my TV. I then have to earn the plug because my stepfather knew how to wire plugs, so he'd cut all the plugs off everything. So I'd have to earn the item and then the plug itself. I'd have to earn like the DVD case, then the DVD that goes inside of the DVD case, and like it
Mm-hmm.
took me like 16 months, something like that, to earn everything back.
Wow.
But like I had that sort of childhood where my sister didn't have any of that whatsoever, like nothing, like absolutely nothing, and like I freaked my therapist out a little bit. She was like, that is horrific. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, why do you think Logan's a lot like got an easy childhood? Because
Mm-hmm.
I look at my mum and I was like, I'm just gonna do not that. That's not the way. And yeah, your content really got me thinking. To be fair,
Mm-hmm.
and
Thank you.
like thank you. I've always said it. And when I did message you, and and I said thanks for jumping into my life that the other day, and I said to my partner, I was like, he may shoot me down. He may not even respond. He may never see the message. But I'm gonna ask him to jump on the podcast. Like I've got to shoot my shot here. And I
Yeah, of
was
course.
like, fuck it, let's go. And like the fact that I don't know how you found me. I don't know how that worked, but like I've always watched you for a long time, and I don't know. You have this really good. I don't know if it's just the way that you present yourself or the way that you like are on camera or what, but I find that you're really easy to watch, and I have found myself kind of like just scrolling through your videos, watching one after the other for like an hour or so at a time, and it makes sense that you have the following you do. I know that sentence alone doesn't make sense, but like it
No, no,
makes
no.
sense.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Like you just have this presence about you, and like you said, you're direct, and I think that's what a lot of people like respect about it as well. Is you don't, your videos aren't 3 minutes of you tiptoeing around a subject just to get to the subject in the last 30 seconds. It's instantly there, instantly done. And like your little skit way that you do as well, yeah, okay, a lot of people do skits for a lot of different things, but the way you do it is always direct as well. What got you into skits? What kind of made you going down the, having two people talk to each other route? What kind of gave you that idea?
I think that's what helped my content grow a lot more. I started doing it the back and forth in November 2024, or maybe December, and that was the busiest time I think I've ever had, with like clients and views. But I used to just speak to the camera and just give advice as if I was talking to you. And then again, this is not the answer you're looking for, but I didn't mean to. I wanted to talk about. I think the first video was something about silent treatment, and I wanted to talk about, but I couldn't really. I couldn't like put it into a sentence to speak to the camera because I needed to like speak and answer myself. So I did it that way. I just asked myself a question and changed my t-shirt and then answered it, and it took off. And I thought, oh fuck, I'll keep doing more of these, and now I still do. I did get to a place last year at some point, end of last year, where they didn't get as many views. So then I went back to the talking to the camera. I think TikTok got bored of me seeing the same content. It's strange. Like Instagram did have 400 and something thousand, like 406,000 followers, and now it has like 399. I like gain 150 followers a day and then lose 200. TikTok sort of stays around the same. But Facebook, I started Facebook like last year, and it's just blowing up. So it's strange to. So if I start on a new platform, people haven't seen the past step. Like when I started on Instagram, people hadn't seen me just talk about my childhood at the start. So I think it's good to change your content up sometimes, but that's what's worked the most for me.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like this day and age where everyone's got a phone in their pocket, TikTok is one of the biggest platforms right now. Whether that changes anytime soon is a different kettle of fish. Instagram, a lot of people like Instagram because obviously it has the social aspect of Facebook, but you don't have like mundane paragraphs that people leave and shit. So like it's a little easier to just like scroll through and everything. And so when people do skits and like fun little things like that, it's just easy to watch. And then obviously you've got this like emotional, trauma attacking sort of like message behind it. So yeah, I find it makes sense that Facebook would blow up. You're on YouTube as well, and you have done like different types of videos on YouTube. I actually was watching one. I think it was your last YouTube video. I could be wrong, but you would like kind of doing like random questions you get asked a lot or something, and you were going through like those sort of things. So I was watching that this morning actually. Do you have any plans for YouTube? Do you have like any idea, like, because YouTube's different with TikTok, isn't it? Like with YouTube you can do longer form videos and do different things with it. So like, do you have any plans for YouTube, or is YouTube just gonna be like where you kind of just post things when you wanna?
I go back and forth. Or I'd like to do longer videos, but I've just not. Maybe this is the reason. It's counterintuitive if that's the word. But I can't seem to take off on YouTube. So I did have a podcast at one point, and I had these big guests, and I felt bad because they weren't getting views. So I stopped it because I felt like if I'd done a podcast with someone and it'd have 200 views, and then I would clip it, post it on TikTok, and it'd have tens of thousands of views, but the podcast itself wouldn't. So I felt like I was a waste. So I think I got 9,000 subscribers, which is still a lot, but my videos will hit 1,000 views. I know they're just the shorts, but they'll hit like 1,000 views, 1,500, and just not go past it. So at the moment, when I post on my other platforms, I'll just post to YouTube too. But yeah, it's always something in the back.
Yeah, I find that with YouTube though, So like, I cosplay and I'll post a cosplay video on TikTok, and like now at the moment I'm going through a stint of every cosplay video gets over like 10,000 views, and on YouTube I post them, on TikTok and then on YouTube, one after the other within 5 minutes of each other. And YouTube, I think my most viewed one is 19,000.
Mhm.
And on TikTok, I think my most viewed cosplay video is like a couple million. And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I think people, because TikTok exists, I think people are like, especially if you follow the same on both platforms, they post the same thing. So if you're watching it on TikTok, you're not going to watch the same video again on YouTube, are you? So like,
Mhm.
I feel like YouTube kind of gets, I don't know, shunned a little bit for that.
Mhm. The
But
comments and that's as on YouTube. Sorry to cut you off. The comments on YouTube are completely different as well. Like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Well, TikTok and Instagram, people are like, "Oh, you changed my life. What a great video." And Facebook is 98% that. YouTube is mainly like, I'm like, "Oh, if you went through this as a child, this happens now." People are like, "Shut up, you fucking pussy." That YouTube is a completely different fucking ball game.
yeah, YouTube is when it comes to comment sections, it's special is the word I'll use. It's
Yeah.
like, I think in the last year, on because I got different YouTube channels for different things. I think I've had like one nice comment out of maybe the 30 I've gotten, and
Mhm.
like it's like you said, it's always like, dude, shut up, like no one
Yeah.
cares and shit like this.
Yeah.
Like how obviously when it does come to negative comments and stuff, what's your thoughts on when people do leave a negative comment? Like,
Mhm.
has it ever affected you? Has it ever bothered you? Or are you the type of person just like, well, they're having a bad day, it's fun?
Firstly, it's comfortable to feel like shit if you always have. So if you do see a negative comment, sometimes it's easier. It resonates more. So even when I go to my seminars, at the end I'll do a Q&A and I'll wait for someone to say something bad, something negative. I'll just call me out, and they never do. But again, it's I don't want to say it for the fourth fucking time, but it's comfortable to feel like shit if you always have. So sometimes the negative comments stick more. I just delete them at this point. I think I'm lucky that I don't get many because of the topics that I speak about. But if I talk about gentle parenting, or if I talk about anything to do with raising your kids not fucking abusively, there will be people, especially on Facebook, there will be people who say, no, you need to beat your kids. So it's not necessarily negative to me. Some of them are, but not necessarily negative to me. More so either about kids, or people just say I look like Josh Hutcherson. That's what I get at the minute, I think.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think because you're very one topic type of like content creator. Um, sorry, I'm just baffled that people still are kind of going, oh yeah, no, you need to beat your kid. Like that's
Yeah.
still like we're
Have a
living
look.
we're still
Have a look on
there.
Facebook.
We're
Yeah.
still there. That is mad. Okay.
Mhm.
Kind of glad I
On my
don't.
Facebook, right? On my Facebook, the one video I did, and all I said was, if your kids are frustrating, it's because you're a safe place, and you're a safe place for them to express. It's
Yep.
triggering because when your kids have freedom, and you didn't have it, of course, it's triggering. At Facebook, it had like nearly 6 million views, and the people in the comments, and some of them, it's like directly have said, my kids don't listen until I get the belt, or 10 times with a belt and they will listen. Those are almost direct quotes from the comments, which is illegal in many
Ooh.
fucking places.
Yeah, and especially here, like Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Oh,
Like,
they were all American. I checked their pages, but still.
yeah, that's mad because like I'm the same with my son. He's I like, so two rules I have in my house is one, hugs always free, because like I grew up with a parent who, if they're annoyed at me, I get no like attention or physical reassurance or anything. So Logan knows that like even if I'm annoyed and he's done something that's like annoyed me or whatever, if he's like, Dad, can I have a hug? I'll always give him a hug. Hugs are always free. That's my number one rule in my house. And then the other rule is it's okay to ask for 5 minutes or 10 minutes to cool off. That is perfectly fine in my house too. So like I could be in the middle of going, Logan, you shouldn't be doing it. If he's like, can I have 5 minutes? We're like, yep, cool. Go to your room, go sit down, go calm down, and come back to me when you're ready. And that's my second rule in my house. Is like, if he like, I never got a chance to be emotional. It took me a long time to like figure out, as an adult, why am I annoyed again? Why am I angry? Why am I giving my partner a bollocking? Why am I like frustrated for? Because I never had a chance to actually think about my emotions or regulate them in any way. So if Logan's ever frustrated or upset or wants to cry for 5 minutes and he's like, "Dad, can I have 5 minutes?" I'm like, "Yep, absolutely." And like he'll ask me for 5 minutes. I'm like, "Yep, cool," and I'll give him 5 minutes, and he'll come back to me when he's ready for me to talk to him. And by that point, I'm no longer as annoyed, so I can talk to him a bit more straight too.
Yeah.
So like they're the two main rules in my house, and he knows that. So I feel like kids should be able to regulate their emotions because if not, then you end up with adults who again don't have any
Adults who
emotional.
comment on videos negatively.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's it. And like I get asked a lot, how do I deal with hate comments? And that's kind of my response. It's like, well, just because if they're projecting on me, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't take it to heart because
Yeah.
I know what it's like having a shit childhood, and like you said, you get comfortable in it. I think that's gonna be a running like comment throughout this podcast episode. You get comfortable in it. So like if they're projected on me because they don't have good parents or they have a shit life, then I'm not going to take that to heart. If they need a project, they need a project, and if that's on me, then cool. I'm happy to be that wall if they need to.
Yeah. What
And
other
like
people think of you isn't any business.
yeah, and I don't know. I guess people attack me a lot because I'm a geeky dad who makes content on geeky stuff, and people see it as, well, this person's an ass, and I'm like, yeah, well, I have I've got a good life. I've got a missus. I've got my kids happy. So, but yeah, it's quite sad that we still live in a day and age where it's not normal to say, hey, I'm not okay. Instead of they just go and attack everybody. But I'm glad that you haven't had too much of a negative towards you. Like you said, if it is anything too bad, it's like more aimed at the conversation of topic, not directly aimed at you. So that's good. But I like asking this question, and of course you don't have to go into too much detail if you don't want to. Obviously, you do have a partner, and you do have kids. What's your partner's thoughts on you having this social media attention, and you're getting yourself out there and you're spreading this message?
Oh, she hates it. She not so much as she hates it because it's my I'm the one that works. So it's our income, and it has been for 3 years now. So it's not that she hates it, but she hates when we're in Disneyland and someone goes, "Oh my God, Ben, I love your videos." My wife's like fucking bright red in the face. And I hate talking about that. It sounds so egotistical, but she's like bright red in the face, and she just hopes that they don't speak to her. Like even if we go to a soft play and it's just a parent just talking to her about her kids, she still doesn't want to fucking speak. So so yeah, she likes the part that it funds our lives, but not so much that people want to stop me whenever, well, not whenever we're out, but sometimes when we're out, yeah.
I've only been noticed once, thankfully, at this moment in time, and it wasn't like anything too major. It was a case of like we went to a shop once, and someone was like, "I swear I know you from somewhere," and I'm looking at him like, "Dude, I come to this town like 4 times a year, so I doubt you know me from anything." And then we had to go back to the shop. We had to wait for something. We went back to the shop, and he looked at me and went, "I know where I know you from now." I was like, "Oh yeah, what's that?" And he's like, "You're on TikTok, aren't you?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, I think I follow you on TikTok, mate. I've watched a few of your videos." I was like, "All right, cool." And like that's the entire interaction. So like I haven't had that yet.
What you may find, right, is, and it's strange because people will, I think it's because the way I speak in videos, people think they know me.
yeah.
So when people stop me, they'll be like, "Oh, Ben," and I have to like run my brain like, "Where the fuck do I know you from? Did we go to school together?" And then like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I watch a video." I keep saying Disney because it happens a lot in Disney, which is probably telling. But people are like, "Oh, hi," and they're like, "Oh, I watch your videos." It happened. We went to Spain for a few months in 2024, and we stayed in a place where they didn't speak English. And I was in this like little cafe having a coffee on my own, and my family were in the apartment. And a woman came up to me and she like pointed at her phone and she was like, "You do videos?" She's fucking speak English. I was like, "Yeah, that's me." So maybe I'll keep going for you now.
Wow, you're even getting like noticed in a different language there, mate. Look at you go.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. So, like, when it comes to, you doing your, when it comes to like, the more heavy stuff, the things that are like really, I don't want to use the word traumatic, but that's the only kind of word I can think of is traumatic.
Mhm.
Do you ever get like to a point where, you know, do you ever like stumble upon your words, or is it like easy for you to kind of like just record videos, or do you have to think about what you have to say, or like how is the process for like the more heavy hitting stuff? Like more personally, for you, like the actual things that are like, like you said, you're going off just yourself. So like, is it ever hard to do those videos, or is it just like it's just easy?
I wouldn't say it's easy, but everything that I've spoken about in a video is my experience. So I think one video I said, "Do you have contact with your parents?" And then I said, "Yes." But then I turned to the camera and I said, "For the context of the video, I don't." And I think that's the closest I've gotten in a video to not saying my own story, because every other video is my story. The hard parts are when I almost do an impression of my mother. And it's something I notice in clients when they say something that their parents have told them, they will like fucking squeeze their face together and their voice changes. They do like a perfect impression of their parents. It's horrible. So if I ever say something in a video that my mother said to me and I watch it back, I can see myself looking nasty. So I think that's the hardest part. Ideas are always there because I talk about this all day. Like today's a quiet day. I think I have 3 clients. Tomorrow I have 7. It's usually around 6 to 8 a day. And when a client tells me a story, more often than not, something will click, or a piece of advice I give them, something will click. And I'm like, oh, I haven't talked about this. So the video ideas are always there. So yeah, I wouldn't say they're easy, but sometimes it does get hard. Yeah.
Do you know what? You saying that just got me thinking. I think I do the same. Whenever like I talk about my mum, and
Hmm.
I say like, "Oh, mum did this," whatever. I think I'd kind of put a bit of a
Grit your
like,
teeth.
yeah, like it. I either like tense, or like I always put like this cool like face of some kind, and like
Hmm.
I'm thinking back of like me explaining my mother to people. I'm like, oh my god, I do the same thing.
Yeah, it's a strange
Like,
thing.
it's almost like you're embodying them in like an
Yeah,
act. So
exactly.
you're playing the character, isn't it?
Hmm.
So yeah, that's just hit me. I was like, well, hang on, I do the exact same thing. That's mental. So again, you don't have to go into too much detail, but I wanted to ask, how come you homeschool? Because I've been homeschooled for a couple of years. My sister's homeschooled like her entire life. But I find a lot of different people. There's this woman I follow on TikTok, and it's all about homeschooling. Her entire content's about homeschooling, and she goes live and she talks about homeschooling. She gets a lot of flack for it too. She gets
Hmm.
so much hate for it. So I'm always curious to like, when people say they homeschool their kids, I like to see like kind of where and why. So you don't have
Hmm.
to go into like too much if it's
No,
too
no, no.
personal, but like, how come you homeschool your kids?
No. Firstly, who is that woman? And one of my friends
Um,
does.
I will find her, and even if it's after the episode,
Yeah, yeah. One
I
of my
will
friends,
find.
Hannah, does homeschooling content. Who I've met through TikTok actually. A number of reasons. So my father died when he was 44. My stepsister was 9 at the time, I think. So I want part of the reason is I want to spend as much time with my kids as I can. Secondly, that again, loads of reasons. Secondly, I liked school. I was bullied, but I was like deputy head boy. I loved school. I think it was just because it was a safer place for me than home. So I got on with my teachers. I sort of not parentified. I don't think that's the word, but I sort of looked to them as parental figures, my teachers. So I liked school, but there was so much that I didn't need to learn. I think with my kids, I teach them what they need to know and then what they want to know, rather than, oh, here's fucking 2 months of Hitler. If you that could be a 5 minute YouTube video, and if it's interesting for you, then you can learn more about it. If it's beneficial to your life and to another reason is like I said, we went to Spain for 3 months, and then in May again we're going for 2 months. We wouldn't be able to do that, so I'd rather show my kids the world than put them in a room. And again, I'm not sort of trash talking school because I did like school. That's where my friends were, and that's where I fucking made relationships. For example. But yeah, to answer your question.
Yeah, see, I look at school and primary schools. I think primary school and high school are different. Like in certain things, like the thing that pisses me off about high school is as soon as you hit year 9, for the Americans listening, that's what, 13, uh, and when by the time you hit like year 9, you're not learning anything. They prepare you for exams. So for
Mhm.
2 years, they prepare you for exams,
Mhm.
and when you're 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, etc. That's the most crucial point in my head. Again, anyone can disagree with me, but like at that age, you should be learning how to look after yourself in the sense of budgeting money, learning how to cook, how to handle a washing machine, for example. I know grown ass adults, people older than me, around about my age, they don't know how to they still live with their parents and couldn't if they left alone for a week, they wouldn't know how to defend for themselves. That
Mhm.
sort of thing, And it's like I've been telling Logan that when it's his 7th birthday, which is upcoming in March, he'll be learning a couple of things, and he's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, you're gonna start, learn how to do some of your own food and everything." We've actually brought him a little stool thing so you can be higher up on the kitchen counter, and I said to him it'll be easy stuff like buttering your own bread,
Mhm.
making your own bowl of cereal. I'll teach how to do some toast and how to work the air fryer and little things I'll be with you 24/7. You're doing it obviously, but just learn the little basic stuff. And he's really good on money. I taught him how to budget money. So whenever he has pocket money, for example, and he wants to go and spend it, I'll say to him, right, well that's £3, mate. You've only got a £10 left, so just remember what that is, in your head. And he's like, yeah, Dad, it's £7. And I got £7 left. I'm like, all right, cool.
Mhm.
Little things like that because it's that's the bit that I don't like is the last end of high school because it doesn't teach anything. They prepare you for exams, and it's just like, yeah, but kid, no one know CPR. That is one of the most
Yeah.
beneficial thing you can learn. I didn't learn CPR until I was 22.
Mhm.
I think every teenager should learn CPR because nowadays, you've got 15, 16 year olds going out getting drinking and stuff. What if something bad happens? I know
Mhm.
that's a negative way of thinking about it, but I'd rather let my son be prepared than, kind of being stuck in a jam, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got.
So I like the idea of homeschooling. I
Mhm.
was homeschooled for a couple of years. My sister's been homeschooled her entire life. And she's younger than me. She's been homeschooled her entire life. And she's actually in the middle of doing learning how to code games. That's what she's been
Nice.
learning the last couple of years. She went to college. She did do college for game design, and now she's learning how to code and everything. So that's pretty cool. But like
Nice.
you said, you like you said, you've taken your kids to Spain for like weeks on a time, and I
Mhm.
feel like you get to do more, and you're not restricted by lesson times and homework and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
for the last portion, I need to talk to the geeky side of you because
Mhm.
something you've mentioned a few times in your content is Lego. So I wanted to ask, what sort of things are you into geeky side wise, and do you feel like you're now that you've kind of the way your content's gone, like you said, you've kind of learned how to be better than your parents and stuff. Has that helped you be more in tune with you're a child and being a geek and things?
Being no contact has made me me. It's made me look like me, sound like me. There's no judgment. I do things for me. So maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I saw a Lego set, and I remember a while ago, maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years ago, I bought a Lego Technic Land Rover, and then I saw the game Horizons, like Zero Dawn.
Yep.
They got a tall neck in there, so they have a tall
Yep.
neck Lego set. And I saw that in Smiths once, and I thought, there's no point me buying it because that's probably childish, and it's not going to be complicated like Technic. And now I fucking hate Technic. I bought that Lego set, and then I haven't looked back. And I probably spend, if you average it out, I probably spend about £1,000 a month on on Lego or all my figures. I collect Hot Toys. They're quite fucking pricey. So yeah, I'm into Lego. I'm into collecting figures. I got a couple of Harry Potter ones. I got like masks, like Green Goblin, Spider Man. I do have one Spider Man morph suit. I'm looking around my room. Sorry if my audio is like slipping out. I think that's about it. I do play games, not as much. When it's a new game out, I don't really play online. So when there's a new game out that I want to play, then I'm like consumed by it. And every now and again, I'll go back. I've still got my tribal Game Boy Advance SP, so every now and again, I go back to play in that. And I was going to like yesterday or the night before because I have Leaf Green in it, and then today I saw that they're re-releasing Fire Red and Leaf Green, basically fucking emulating it for the Switch. So I'm gonna wait for that.
Yeah. I find, I don't know. My mum always used to like make me feel childish or make me feel stupid for liking things. You
Yeah.
know? So like, even to this day, I'm 27, massive into Power Rangers, Ben 10. I'm massive into Ben 10, and things. You know, I'm a gamer through and through. I've got a game collection slowly building, for different consoles and everything. And like, I do gaming content, so that really helps. But like, I'm now at the point where like, every single month when we get like paid and everything, my partner turns to me and goes, right, is there a new game this month? Do you need money for like, you know, Marvel Rivals, for example? Is there any figures you want to get? And she's really like, you know, really supportive of like everything. So she's always like, look, is there anything you want to get? Like, I had a pre-order a game last week, and she's like, she reminded me actually, she was like, isn't there a game you wanted to get that comes out in like beginning of March? I was like, oh my god, there is, thank you so much. So like, she reminded me. But I feel like it all depends. Like each you know, parent and child situation is different, but I do feel like there are parents out there that, you know, kind of make you feel as you grow up that, you know, you can't be a child anymore. You know,
Yeah.
if you're a child, you're a child. And it's like, well, no, like, that's not the case at all. You know, like, I love the fact that, like, I'm into Pokemon, massive fan of Pokemon. Pokemon Day's actually coming up soon, so I'm assuming they're going to announce Generation 10, because
Hoping so.
so I mean, literally about 20 minutes before I jumped on talking to you, just finished therapy. I literally explained to my son Logan. I was like, mate, in like a week's time is Pokemon Day, and when you come home from school, we shall keep an eye on the live stream to see if they announce Generation 10. So we're going to be doing that together, and things. But yeah, I wanted to kind of like, you know, like you said, you're now you, and people are allowed to be geeky, and you know, it's quite funny because Logan got. We went to the arcade with Logan, and he likes doing like going to the arcade and playing on the game machines and stuff. And he wanted to show him off on, because me and Logan got a YouTube channel together, and he wanted to show off what he got. And we got a comment which Logan responded to, and he actually responded really, really smartly. But he got a comment because he likes Gabby's Dollhouse. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah, of course.
And Logan absolutely loves it. Now, obviously, Logan's a boy, and he got one of the things he won from the arcade is a mystery egg that had something with Gabby's Dollhouse in it. And we got a comment that was like, "Oh, this is disgusting because you know Gabby's all pink and girly, and he's a boy." And so so I told Logan, I was straight with him. I was like, "Well, mate, someone said this." And when we did our response video, Logan's like, you do realize boys can like girl things and girls can like boy things, right? And I was like, yes, kid, well done. Like, I don't even think I've ever had that conversation with him, and he kind of just clicked on. And I think, like, you know, I'm always going to encourage him if he's, I don't know, 20, for example, and he says to me, oh, dad, you know, this is coming out and it's Lego. I'm like, yeah, boy, let's go. You know, I'm never going to shun him for being a kid, because, like, we should be allowed to be kids, you know?
Because
Like,
you know how it feels.
yeah. Yeah, that's true. I've been there and done that.
Yeah, exactly.
So when it comes to your Lego collection, what do you think is like your most expensive set, do you think? Or you don't have to give me a direct price, but what do you think?
You could fucking Google it anyway. The most expensive one is the Death Star.
Oh, that's it. That's
Came out
cool.
in October. I think that was 899. My Razor Crest, the UCS one, I think that was 500-600. Avengers Tower was 4 something, and then the Hogwarts Express was 550. But 2 of those there I won in a competition on Facebook. I won it like fucking 6 times.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's cool though. That is cool.
Yeah. So I don't want to plug the competition, like, unless you want me to. But there's like really low odds, and it was like £6 a ticket, and it's like 100 maximum. And I don't get me wrong, I spent a lot on tickets in the past, but I won 6 times. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So do you set yourself time to build these? Are you like, you know, like how long do you think you take on a build, do you think?
I think it all depends. So if sometimes I'll build when the kids go to sleep, so I'll have like an hour or 2 at night. But sometimes if I'm really excited and there's loads that come out at the start of the month that I want, that I just like have to get through them, I'll end up building on the floor with my kids around me. So, for example, January the 1st, a lot of good sets came out, and like I had myself Lightning McQueen, and I bought one for my son as well. So we end up just building them all together, and I'll just build on the floor. So it'll take longer because then I got to like get up and feed the baby or get up and attend to this. So, but yes, I couldn't really put a time on it. The Death Star, I would say about 13, 14 hours.
Geez, fair dues though. Like I've got a
Yeah.
buddy who's really into Lego, and he likes his Gundam builds and stuff as well. And so like he's whenever he's off work and stuff, his missus works a lot more than him hour wise. So he always says to me, he's like, "Well, I managed to finish this build, and I accumulated to about X amount of hours. I'm looking at how big this thing is. I'm like, fair dues though. I would collect Lego. I just don't have the house for it. My house is too small for Lego. I collect like figures and Funko Pops and like obviously I'm a bit of a gamer, so I've got a bit of a game collection going. And like if I start collecting Lego, I may have to move Logan to the attic, and I think that's like almost illegal. So I'm not allowed to. I wouldn't be able to collect Lego as much as I would.
We moved in end of July, only like 7 minutes away to be exact. But in our last house, I work in my Lego room. Sometimes I call it Lego room, sometimes I call it office, depending on how nerdy I'm feeling. And it was tiny. It was like a box room, and I had shelves. I'm surprised the walls didn't fucking collapse in. They were just absolutely everywhere. Like I couldn't, like I can barely like type on my keyboard because there was stuff everywhere. So yeah.
Yeah, we actually live in a 3-bedroom house, even though we only have like need for 2 bedrooms, and I've got the 3rd bedroom as my office. It's tiny. Everyone who sees this room asks me, how on earth would you fit a bed in here? And I always respond to them, I don't fucking know, because it is so small. But it's got like all my recording set up, it's got my gaming shelf behind me, and we did have my Funko Pops in here, and I do have like quite a few, to be fair. I think I'm in triple digits at this point. I've been collecting them for like 10 years. And we actually had to start moving them. They're now all tucked away into my bedroom because they could not fit in here. I felt claustrophobic. That's how much little space I had. So like my fiance was like, do you want to like move something to the bedroom? Because we do have like one open corner. I was like, can we move the Funko Pops out? Because I can't breathe in here. I also feel like I'm being watched constantly.
It's a good stress to have.
Yeah.
Not doing all that nerdy shit.
Yeah, we're quite nerdy in this house. The missus is massive into Disney, so like we quite often get Disney related things, and Logan's into like Pokemon and Minecraft and stuff, and then I'm into all different types of stuff. So I think the only room that doesn't have anything geeky in it is actually the bathroom, because even my kitchen's got geeky stuff on the walls. So my uncle used to paint a lot, so I actually have a hand painted canvas of different Naruto characters on my kitchen wall. So like even my kitchen's got geeky stuff in it. But yeah, so we're very, very nerdy in this house. So I'm not going to take too much more of your time. I knew that you're busy today, and we did have a limited time. I will like to ask if you're willing at some point, maybe in the end of the year or beginning of next year, if you're willing to come back, maybe we can talk more and do like a part 2 or like a sequel episode, if you're ever down.
No problem.
So last question for you then is, if people want to find you, where can people find you?
My name is the same everywhere. Ben Cole Edwards. Yeah, I don't want to say Google me, but my name is the same everywhere. TikTok's my biggest platform, I think. It's not what I get the most views, but my biggest platform. But you can follow me everywhere. You get all my links on there too. Thank you.
And there you go. And there you go, guys. Ben's an absolute awesome dude. Definitely go check him out and everything. Like I said, I've been following him for a good couple of years, and he was on the list of like top set of content creators I want to have on the podcast. So low key, without like losing my mind, I'm slowly losing my mind about this episode. And I can't wait for this episode to come out. Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Of course, if you're on the podcast platforms, to get to rate us and everything. If you're on the YouTube channel, subscribe. We're close to 100 subscribers, so it'd be awesome if that could happen. And yeah, I love you all. We're all passionate, everybody, and I shall see you guys in the next one.